It is time once again to have a chat with Teresa Di Felice from the CAA. How are you, Teresa?
I'm good, Kevin. How are you?
I am well. We are almost through the first month of school for the school year, and so today we really want to talk about the commute to school for kids and the role CAA has played in this for 90 years, which is
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
it absolutely is. I always say it's one of the hidden gems that people don't realize about the CAA and their CAA membership.
And we see them, we may not realize that when we see these kids, we're driving along, at dismissal time and things like that, and we see these kids with the orange vests, that CAA, those are kids who are benefiting from a CAA program.
Right. And actually, a number of years ago, we've actually converted to lime green vests because that is the color that's been designated by the province for school zones. So there might be a few orange vests still lingering about, but the bright lime green vests are sort of associated with school zone safety, and in particular, our CAA school safety patrollers.
And the CAA school safety program has kept students safe in school zones since the 1920s.
Yes,
Um,
in Ontario, it was about 1929.
do you mean to tell me there's been a need for school for safety on the way to school going back to the 20s?
Traffic patterns, driving, all of these things have continued to change. And I would say that this program is even more relevant today than it was when we started it in 1929.
Let me tell you a story. When my kids went to school, and I had four of them, I was on the school council. One of my jobs was to help out in the parking lot by directing traffic. Oh my gosh. It is the wild, wild west. What is it that happens to parents when it comes time to drop their kids off or pick their kids up?
It becomes a little bit of it's a me mentality, right? So, I mean, I need to either get to work or, a parent needs to sort of think about if they're dropping off multiple children. And the whole point is getting their child closest to the doors or closest to the school they
Mhm.
possibly can, getting in and out. But it is navigating a very tenuous situation. And so, it really does strike the need in terms of some of the surveys we've done. It's like it's everybody else, but yet everybody's experiencing the same problem. So we know that school zones need to be thought of differently and treated differently by drivers, including the parents dropping off their kids.
Yeah. And this, when you, especially, and I think the orange vests are a good reminder, right?
Mhm.
Not only do they make these school patrollers more visible, but there are reminders. Say, hey, wait a minute, there's kids here, and safety needs to come to front of mind. And I know when I see them, I immediately I pull my foot off the gas. It's just a reaction to say, okay, am I going slow enough? Just for that little short stint. So I think they serve several purposes of visibility.
So this program is great for, I would say, a few different reasons. One is the school visibility, the safety and of the parents and the children and everybody in and around a school zone. So safety is number one, why it started. And it really does set that reminder, that visual reminder. We're constantly upgrading the curriculum. We have very specific rules about where the kids stand, either in the school zone or what they do on a bus, to make sure that we're that they're being careful and that we're not putting them in harm's way. And what's really special about this program is not only are children learning, road safety skills and how to keep their peers safe, but they're learning leadership skills, really becoming ambassadors in their school for being road safety, how to handle difficult situations, even conflict situations, how to be mindful and caregiving of others around them. They get duties that they have to perform on, be there on time. Some of them get even higher duties. They're involved in the scheduling and the training that has to happen. And so we've seen patrollers over the years go on to become police officers, politicians. Our own CEO was a CA school safety patroller. So they, this leadership mentality that they learn at a very young age lends throughout their lifetime.
What are we seeing in the school zones? What are the big problems?
Well, you called it a little bit of the Wild West,
Yeah.
and we are seeing a variety because all school zones, first of all, schools, were built different parts of the province, different spacing, right? Older Toronto area versus new developments. But, we're seeing double parking, sort of stopping where people feel it's convenient. Speeding is also an issue, right? So, people in and out, but also people trying to get through and shortcutting or getting to and from work. Maybe they have nothing to do with the school zone at all. Stopping in undesignated areas is also a really key issue that parents complain about, that people are just stopping where there isn't a place to stop. And so, there's a whole body of work being done, what's called active transportation, and getting kids to school safely. And how do we ensure that kids are going to and from school? Because only 37% of parents in our survey said they feel safe with their kids getting to school. And so this is why we have more people driving their kids to school. Plus, we do have kids being bused. And this is creating more traffic around the school. So if we could get to a point where school zones really are protected and safe, more people would feel comfortable allowing their children to bike or walk to school just the way it used to be. And we would be creating a safer situation for those kids and peace of mind for the parents.
The other thing, too, the other side of this, we're talking about drivers a lot right now. These school safety patrollers also are good for reminding the kids of the rules, because we know, you know what? I remember telling my kids, look both ways before you cross the road. No, they would just go running across the road, and you'd have to yell, wait, stop, look. So kids are going to forget the rules. They're excited. They've had a good day at school. They want to run home and do something.
And, we need to get back to some of those basics of really teaching road safety around schools. It needs to be practiced. It needs to be a habit in order for instinct to kick in and say, oh, I should stop before I run across and look both ways. But the role of the CAA school safety patroller, in particular the foot patrol, is, they're not directing traffic. They're stopping those kids from actually running out onto the road. Mm-hmm. And we have so many over the years. We do awards for kids, Patroller of the Year. So many of them have pertained to kids who stopped a child from running out onto the road before, an oncoming car, thinking about things like even on the bus, protecting the driver who, went into an anaphylactic shock and being able to administer an EpiPen, because we have a robust training that these kids have to go through in order to have this duty. They have to pass a test. And so it's a very well-planned, well-thought-out program with all the parameters of getting kids to school on foot and on bus, but also dealing with parents or caregivers who are dropping off their children and how to create that protection zone.
And the program has evolved in these 90 years as well. For instance, kids no longer are put in harm's way. Not that they ever were put in harm's way, but they're not going to go in front of active traffic. They're going to stay safe themselves.
Correct. They don't have stop signs. Once upon a time, and there might be pictures floating around, they don't have stop signs. They stay on the sidewalk or on either side of, let's say, the parking lot that you talked about that you were, on patrol for when you were a child. And their focus is on the kids to be aware and recognizing what dangers are around and stopping the kids before they come into conflict with those dangers. And that's really the focus. They're not on the roads. They're not directing traffic. They are protecting the students before the students enter those places where those conflicts can happen.
It is a fantastic, fantastic program, Teresa.
We're excited. The last couple of years have been a little challenging with, having to put in special measures at school, reduce numbers in school. Prior to the pandemic, we had over 900 schools in Ontario that were operating the CAA School Safety Patrol program. We're seeing the numbers climb back up this year, and we have over 300 registered and working on the training and getting these kids with these special roles. And we're working continuously on growing the program across the province.
All right, Teresa Di Felice from the CAA. Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care.